Millionaire Elon Musk and Donald Trump shocked when Black Mendiga hasta to comer contigo. Las calles de Manhattan se vibraban, apoyos de pintores y el filo continuo de gente. Pero nadie le podía pararse quedar mirando. Allí, encerrado en carretera con tumbuelas, sentada a su par, el uso final de calles en tanta. Sus ojos oscuros despiertan intensa, muy sotuna. ¡Ij! Laica cándelo, estorbo y ante el viento. Y luego, lo increíble sucedió. Elon Musk, saliendo de una polva negra, fue que callado. Del lado de él, non otro ambiente, estaba por ese teléfono, su gentemano, gestuándose rápidamente. Una mujer negra, estando buscando fodido, vivillonas intocables de las calles ya a tierra vivida. ¿Me quiero comer un gallo contigo? La ciudad se cayó con un silencio genial. Whispers erupted from the crowd. Cameras flashed as people shoved their phones forward. What was this woman's story? Why here? Why now? Elon's sharp eyes searched hers, a mix of shock and intrigue cracking his usual poker face. Trump's mouth opened in surprise, muttering something under his breath. The impossible collision, wealth, power, and a fall so hard it shook the cold concrete beneath them. Maya's chest tightened. Her hands shook, clutching a worn-out paper bag. Remnants of a day's struggle. She was once a corporate shark, a high-rise queen in New York's ruthless financial world, until the crash that swallowed her empire whole. Now scraped raw against the city's indifferent veins, surviving on crumbs and shattered pride. But today, she needed to be seen. Really seen. A lean man with a notepad, late 30s, stepped forward. Dave, a journalist who lived for stories like this. His eyes were full of questions. He crouched beside Maya, voice low. Tell me your story. The world's listening. That lump in Maya's throat swelled. Here, in this unlikely moment, she poured out her truth, raw and trembling, her voice a lifeline. I hope Elon hears this. I hope it sparks something real, she said, the weight of every lost opportunity, every sleepless night hanging in the still air. Almost like a scene out of some strange dream, Elon Musk's gaze suddenly caught the words. He stepped closer, curiosity overriding protocol. Lunch? He asked. His voice was softer than anyone expected. An invitation so unexpected it stole the breath from the crowd. Inside a high-end restaurant, the world flipped upside down. Maya sat opposite Elon, dirt-smudged hands clutching an expensive glass, surrounded by gleaming chandeliers and hushed luxury. The contrast was jarring, painful, a battle between two lives, two realities, colliding in a bubble of quiet tension. Their talk shifted, fierce and honest. Inequality, ambition, the brutal cost of success. Then, as the words peeled back layers, a secret slipped out, a family connection neither saw coming. Elon's ancestors had a hidden past tangled with Maya's own roots, a past soaked in struggles and sacrifices rarely spoken of in boardrooms. The revelation hit them hard. Musk's lifelong sense of privilege shaken, Maya's buried memories raging to life again. They sat frozen, the city skyline glowing beyond the windows. Before the plates were cleared, Maya's eyes burned bright with a wild idea. Let's build something together. A project to lift the people here, to fight back, Real change. Her voice dared the silence. Elon's mind raced. Could he face what this truth demanded? Could he risk it all? Outside, New York's pulse throbbed endlessly. The question lingered heavily. Would Maya's vision take flight? Or would the tangled past drag them both into a mess too big to escape? What happens next? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Inside the luxurious restaurant, Maya's heart raced. She stared across the table at Elon, hope drumming in her temples. Let's build something together, she repeated, eyes gleaming with conviction. The weight of her words hung in the air, a challenge, a promise. But then, out of nowhere, chaos erupted. A loud, shattering sound sliced through the conversation, drawing startled gasps from the crowd. A figure burst through the restaurant door. A man wearing a frayed leather jacket with wild eyes. Time seemed to freeze. Security guards rushed forward, but the man shouted a name that ripped through the chatter like a knife. Maya. All heads turned. The man's voice was raw, desperate. Maya, it's me! You have to listen! Recognition flashed across Maya's face, her blood running cold. David? She breathed, the name choking her. Her brother, long thought vanished, a ghost lost in the shadows of her past. The eyes of every diner fixated on the scene. Whispers flared up like flames. Get away from her! Elon stood, instinct kicking in, his posture protective, but Maya's gaze was locked on David, heart pounding like a drum. Breathing heavily, he drew closer, face flushed with urgency. I didn't have time. I needed to warn you. What are you talking about? The world outside ceased to exist for Maya. Suddenly, it was just her and David, tangled in a storm of memories and pain. Those connections you're chasing, this with Musk, it's dangerous. They're watching. He gasped, eyes wild. They know who you are, what you've done. You don't understand. The room buzzed with tension. People leaned in, curiosity and disbelief etched on their faces. Elon glanced at Maya, confusion shadowing his brows. The truth tightening the air. What's he talking about? Musk's voice sliced through the noise, a mix of concern and confusion. Maya swallowed hard, memories flooding in, secrets buried so deep that the thought of David pulling them back into the light felt like a betrayal. David, please. No. You have to hear me. I thought I was protecting you, but it's too late. They'll come for you, and it'll drag you down all over again. Suddenly, the restaurant's atmosphere turned electric. Patrons exchanged terrified glances. Who? Maya asked, heart racing, desperation blooming. She had clawed her way back from the darkness, only to feel its grip tighten once more. I can't explain here, David pleaded, scanning the room. Not safe. We need to go! Elon opened his mouth to protest, but the force of David's urgency was undeniable. The truth, took on a life of its own, wrapping them all in an anxious shroud. Then, just as quickly as he appeared, the door flung open again. Another figure stepped in, sharp, gleaming eyes and menace bleeding into the air. He was flanked by stern-looking men in dark suits. "Maya Kingston," he announced, voice cold, smooth as ice. "We've been looking for you." Maya's breath caught in her throat. Shock rippled through Elon and the crowd. Could this be the wrecking ball to their fragile moment? All questions dimmed to echoes in her mind. The weight of the world, hidden far beneath enticing dreams, was crashing in. Could the truth break her once again? Would she lose everything she'd just begun to reclaim? The room closed in, and every instinct screamed for flight. The question surged like a tidal wave. Whose future would break first? Maya's breath caught in her throat, the weight of her idea hanging in the air. "Let's build something together. A project to lift the people here, to fight back. Real change." She dared to meet Elon's eyes, hoping for a flicker of understanding. Silence stretched, thick with possibility. But then, from somewhere deep within the restaurant, a loud bang shattered the moment. Plates rattled, and the elegant hum of conversation fizzled into chaos. Maya's heart raced, her body tense, scanning the room, searching for the source. Elon's face hardened, his instinct as a businessman kicking in. Suddenly, the back door burst open in a frenzy, spilling in a figure shrouded in shadows. The room turned cold. A figure ran forward, dark hood pulled low, face hidden. Gasps rippled through the diners. Maya felt her heart thumping against her ribcage, panic clawing at her throat. "What's happening?" Before anyone could react, the figure raised a hand, and in that hand glinted something metallic. A gun. Time slowed. Maya's blood turned to ice. The crowd screamed, chairs scraped back, and people scrambled to escape. But she was frozen, eyes wide. "Everybody down!" the hooded figure shouted, breathless, panic-laced in their voice. The restaurant erupted into a cacophony of alarm. Chaos swirling like a storm. Maya's mind scrambled. Was this real? Was this happening? Elon moved instinctively, darting to shield Maya with his body. "We need to get out!" he shouted, casting a glance to the exits, his safety instinct kicking in. But before he could finish, the figure turned their gaze on him. There was something familiar in the stance, a wild intensity that left Maya breathless. "Wait!" she called out, surprising even herself. "Please, don't hurt anyone!" She stepped forward, daring to break the invisible barrier of fear. The figure's hand trembled slightly, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. "You don't understand!" But the words stalled, lost in the crumbling silence that followed. The crowd held its breath, half drawn in terror. Maya saw the struggle reflected in the figure's posture, a deep conflict clashing beneath the surface. Sweat glistened on their brow. "I've been watching you," they muttered, lifting the hood for a split second. Maya gasped. It was Jaden, a face from the past, someone she thought she'd never see again. Memories rushed in, a tidal wave of feelings. They had grown up together in a rough neighborhood, chased dreams and faced losses side by side. But since Maya's fall, Jaden had disappeared, rumored to be in trouble. "You! What's going on? With the gun wavered, Jaden's voice broke. It's all the rage in me, Maya. The system, the way we fell, it doesn't just take, it devours, it suffocates. I'm doing this for us, for all the people who've struggled like we did. A collective murmur rose from the stunned crowd. Maya's heart ached. Fear wrestled with familiarity. Could Jaden's struggle ignite a fire for change, or snuff out their chance for hope? Elon's brow furrowed, anger mingling with empathy. But before Maya could fathom a response, sirens wailed in the distance, drawing closer. The door swung open again, this time revealing the stark blue uniforms of NYPD officers. The tension exploded. They burst in, shouting commands. Jaden's gleaming weapon lowered, torn between choices, eyes darting. The room held its breath again. Maya's heart raced as the reality spiraled. Decisions were made in a heartbeat, destinies intertwined in a chaotic dance. Would Jaden's actions unravel everything they had just dared to dream about? Or was this just the beginning of a deeper fight for every lost soul on these streets? And as the chaos unfolded, a question loomed. What would happen when the lines of friendship, loyalty, and survival blurred into a tapestry of devastation? Maya's breath caught in her throat as the tension in the room thickened. Jaden, eyes wide and desperate, held the gun with a shaky hand. Sirens wailed outside, closing in, the chaos growing louder by the second. Every eye was on them. Silence wrapped around the moment like a heavy blanket clinging to the air. Then Jaden's voice cracked. Maya, help me! The anguish clashed with the desperation in the room, and the line between saving and seizing control blurred. Sudden movement from behind Jaden blurred the scene. A shadowed figure slipped silently through the doorway, blending with the frantic energy. The crowd parted, whispers morphing into a low rumble of fear. Wheels turned in Maya's head. Was it an ally or something more sinister? Before anyone could react further, the new figure lunged forward, thrusting something into Jaden's hands. It was a small flash drive, and the instant recognition turned Jaden's expression from fear to shock. You here? He stammered, blinking rapidly as the connections clicked in his mind. What are you doing? The new figure pulled down the hood, revealing a familiar face. It was Casey, Maya's former right hand and once trusted friend. We don't have time for this, Casey urged, urgency punctuating every word. It's about your past. What do you mean? How did you know I'd be here? Maya's heartbeat thundered as confusion rushed over her. I'll explain later. Right now, you need to leave. It's not safe. Casey glanced back, fear flashing in those eyes. The people who want the data on this drive, they're watching. Jaden, you have to trust me. The weight of Casey's words settled heavily on Maya's chest. She stepped closer, trying to grasp the rapid-fire details flying in every direction. What's on that drive? Proof, evidence, everything. Your life, Jaden's life, it all connects. If it falls into the wrong hands, everything will be destroyed. Casey's voice rose above the noise, urgency cracking like fragile glass. But just as relief flickered in Maya's chest, a booming voice interrupted them. Maya Kingston, get on the ground! The officers had arrived, guns drawn and tension palpable. The fear in the air morphed into palpable anxiety as Jaden's hands trembled more, the gun wavering ever so slightly. What's happening? Elon shouted, stepping in front of Maya protectively. "We need to calm this down." But before he could reach out, something snapped. A series of loud bangs crashed through the restaurant. Gunshots? Shouts erupted, syncopated chaos spreading like wildfire. And just like that, Jaden collapsed. He clutched his chest, the gun clattering from his hands, eyes wide with disbelief. "No! Jaden!" Maya cried, rushing forward, but Casey caught her arm. "Stay back! It's not safe!" But the world shrank down to Jaden's face, eyes dimming. "Maya, you have to forgive me," he gasped, the life draining from him. A scream slipped from Maya as realization hit. Layers peeled back. Jaden, her childhood partner in dreaming of change, had been tangled in something dark, dragging her down with him. A roar of confusion blended with the chaos. Crowd members screamed, and security rushed in. But amidst it all, Maya felt something in her crack. She released a wild cry and stumbled back. She'd been searching so hard for hope, for a new beginning. And now it slipped helplessly through her fingers. Then Casey leaned in close, breathless. "Maya, I was sent to watch you. You need to understand. Everything around you is a setup." The words hit like a freight train. "What do you mean?" "Not everything is what it seems. They've been manipulating you, watching since the beginning." Time stopped. Maya's heart plummeted. Everything she thought she knew shattered in an instant. Who is watching?" But before Casey could respond, a sudden explosion rocked the restaurant, sending tables and chairs flying. Maya felt the heat lick at her skin. Through the smoke and chaos, one thought pierced through the fear, sharp and clear. Was it all an elaborate trap? Could she trust anyone anymore? In that moment, as the world spun into a chaotic blur of screams and destruction, a question echoed loudly in her mind. What was real and what was a lie? And could she even escape the consequences of a hidden war she never knew existed? Inside the high-end restaurant, the atmosphere hummed with anticipation. The air was thick with the scent of truffle oil and fresh basil, yet nothing compared to the tension between Maya and Elon. As she shared her audacious vision, a palpable energy filled the space. But then, just as the mood began to shift toward hope, everything changed. With a sudden crash, the glass door of the restaurant shattered, and the crowd outside gasped. A wave of shock rip. Elon and Maya instinctively ducked behind the table as el nuevo drownado every cosa. Maya's corazón movió polvo por sus oídos. Podía sentir el aliento de Elon en medio de ella. ¿Qué estaba sucediendo? Voces gritando demandaban silencio. Y de repente, viene un hombre alto e imponente que levantó sus brazos para controlar la situación. Everyone stay calm. His voice booming. But it didn't settle any nerves. The tension twisted tighter. Maya stole en quick glance a Elon's face. Fear flicado en sus ojos, but it's a different kind. Fear no nada más el danger, pero algo mayor. Había una urgencia por ahí, como si estaba tratando con eterna verdad. The point of the restaurant collapsing to the floor. A waiter rushed to her side, his hands trembling as he tried to help. Maya's chest tightened, the weight of helplessness pressing down. But then, amidst the chaos, a familiar voice rang out. "Trump! He had been shoved to the side, but now stood defiantly, glaring at the intruders. "You picked the wrong place to make a scene," he shouted. The masked men froze at the sound, uncertainty flickering over their features. It seemed for a moment that bravado could outshine fear. And then, in a shocking twist, one of the intruders turned to Elon, unmasking himself in one swift motion. "You don't recognize me, do you?" he sneered, voice icy. A heavy gasp swept across the room. "But you should!" "I'm your brother!" Gasps erupted from the crowd. Maya's heart dropped. Elon's jaw clenched, disbelief flooding his features. "No, it can't be," he muttered, the words almost lost beneath the whispering panic of the diners. The man took a step closer, eyes locked onto Elon. "You think you've got it all figured out? You think you're untouchable? Here's the truth. Your family is built on secrets, real ones, not the kind you can buy your way out of. One nearly destroyed me." He gestured toward Maya, an accusing finger hovering in the air. "And it's time your privilege faced its consequences." Maya felt the ground shift beneath her as the implications crashed down. What family bond lay hidden between them? What had Elon's legacy obscured? Fear twisted with an undeniable curiosity. She felt a rush of desperation, a new urgency to bring forth her vision. But now, what she didn't expect was that this man may carry a dark truth that intertwines their destinies. The restaurant buzzed with whispers, uncertainty thickening the air. Shocked gazes darted between Elon and his brother. Outside, sirens wailed, the world spilling into chaos. Just then, a gun was raised, and the tension spiraled to a breaking point. What would happen next? Would this revelation tear them apart or bind them together in a fight larger than themselves? The stakes escalated, spiraling into something far beyond their control. Maya's eyes burned bright, hope spiraling into the air around them. Elon leaned in, intrigue sparking like a live wire. "Let's build something together." But just as the words fluttered between them, a loud crash shattered the moment. The restaurant's glass doors exploded inward, scattering shards like a violent hailstorm. Adrenaline flooded the room, screams erupted. Hands flew to cover mouths. Maya's heart beat like a drum. The tall figure that burst through the door was masked, a hoodie pulled low, hiding the identity beneath. "What the hell?" Trump shouted, instinct taking over as he stood up, protectively covering Maya. The room churned into chaos, diners diving under tables. The figure shouted, voice rough and wild, "This is a message to the billionaires who forget where they came from." A gunshot rang out, a deafening echo. Time stretched. Maya's pulse thudded painfully in her ears. She froze, staring at the intruder, feeling fear slither down her spine. In that one moment, amid the frantic escape, something inexplicable happened. Maya's paper bag fell from her grasp, its contents spilled. A crumpled piece of paper sailed out, landing just as the masked figure turned toward her, panic dancing in their eyes. A terrifying blend of desperation and determination. Elon didn't hesitate. He jumped to his feet, his voice booming, "Get down!" The room morphed into a scene from a nightmare, but all Maya could see was that paper, the truth held in it. Then something clicked in her mind. She'd been holding back. "Wait!" she screamed. hands shaking. "I know you!" The intruder paused, surprise flickering across their face. "What?" Maya's breath hitched. The universe felt like it was constricting around her. "You're my brother!" she gasped, voice breaking as memories flooded back. Years of separation fell like a heavy curtain. The battles, the anger, all rushed in. A brother lost to the streets. A sibling she'd searched for but thought long gone. Elon hesitated, confusion etched on his face. Trump looked from her to the intruder, trying to bridge the two realities unfolding. The brother stepped closer, the mask slipping just a bit. "You said you'd forget about us," he spat, anguish spilling from his voice. "You left, you became rich." "No!" Maya cried, the words strangling her throat. "I lost everything. I'm back. Stop! Just stop!" he shouted, pain wrapping his words painfully tight. That's when everyone saw it. Behind his hoodie, a familiar face. It was unmistakable, marked by the same eyes, the same set of features. The crowd gasped, confusion mixed with disbelief. Elon stood frozen, mouth slightly ajar. Trump's jaw clenched tight. The duality of their realities stood in stark contrast. Maya's fight to reclaim her lost identity, colliding with her brother's rage, felt unbearable. The atmosphere was electric, silence thickening the air. Questions hung everywhere. What had driven him to this? Why now? Could she reconcile her past with her present? Could the brother she'd thought she lost forever truly be standing in front of her? "Let me help you," she begged, voice raw with emotion. "We can change everything together. Just lower the weapon." Her heart felt scraped clean, laid bare before a past she thought she'd buried. Hope seeped through desperation. But would it be enough? The brother's expression wavered, shifting from anger to something vulnerable. The tension frayed, alive with possibility as the weight of the moment twisted in every direction. The world outside carried on, deaf to the turmoil within. Would they choose connection or drama? Would this shocking reunion be the beginning of a path forward or the final nail in their buried past? Elon's eyes widened, caught in a delicate balance of excitement and fear. "A project?" he whispered, the air thick with possibility. Maya leaned in, a fire igniting within her. "Together we can change lives," she insisted, her spirit aflame. But just as hope surged, the peace shattered with a crashing sound. The restaurant's front glass was smashed. People screamed, some ducked for cover. Panic erupted like fireworks in the sky. "What the?" Maya gasped, her heart racing. In an instant, chaos flooded in. A group burst through the entrance, their faces obscured by masks and anger. Their shouts drowned out the clattering plates. "Get down!" Someone yelled. The heaviness of fear gripped everyone in the room, an invisible noose tightening around their throats. Elon instinctively shielded Maya, pulling her beneath the table. Then, in a moment that felt like time slowing to a crawl, a loud voice rang out. "This ends now. You can't ignore us any longer." The words hit like a truck as the chaos swirled around them. The chaos swelled, a dark tide. Maya's heart pounded. She could see the terror mirrored on Elon's face. But she also saw something else, a hint of recognition. In the midst of the fray, a tall figure broke free from the group, the mask slipping for just a moment. Maya's breath caught in her throat. No, it couldn't be. The figure, it was a face from her past, a ghost she thought she'd buried. Aaron, her once loyal associate, the man who stood by her side when her world crumbled. The betrayal of his departure had stung deep, a wound that never fully healed. Aaron, she whispered, the name trembling on her lips. He turned, his deep-set eyes locking with hers for the briefest moment. Confusion flickered in the depths of his gaze, soon replaced by the fire of anger. "This is your fault, Maya. You left us. You abandoned everything we work for." Maya's heart twisted. She wanted to reach out, to explain how she had suffered, how she'd struggled to survive. But the tension in the room was electric, impossibly heavy. The crowd outside surged in, their faces clamoring for justice, for answers. Elon's grip on her tightened as he processed the unfolding drama. "Maya, who is he?" His voice was low, sounding distant amidst the chaos. But she could barely respond. The world had spiraled out of her control. A chorus of "What do you want?" echoed among the diners, fear mingling with confusion, a rich tapestry of emotions swirling in the air. Aaron's wild eyes narrowed as he spat out, "We want justice. We want what you've taken from us." Each word pierced the room. A raw ache laid bare. Maya felt the weight of her past crashing down, every regret flooding her mind like a tidal wave. Then, in an instant, another realization struck her. This was not merely a protest. There was more at stake. The connection between them was deeper, hauntingly entangled in desperation and betrayal. The dreams they had built, now viciously twisted into a battleground. The stunned room held its collective breath. Wow! And within that silence, every second stretched. Maya, trapped between her past and present, could feel every heartbeat ringing out with unanswered questions. What was she meant to do now? Outside, sirens wailed in the distance, urgency rising in the atmosphere. The restaurant teetered on the edge of an abyss, a reckoning unleashing itself. The tension hung thick, leaving the future dim, and in that moment, nothing felt certain anymore. Maya's heart hammered in her chest, caught between the past and present. This was not the reunion she'd envisioned. "Aaron, please," she pleaded, voice trembling. "Let's talk. We can fix this." But he shook his head, rage boiling just under the surface. "You think you can just walk back in, Maya? You don't know what it was like for us, how we lost everything while you played at success." His voice cracked, pain spilling out like a flood. In that moment, the weight of every lost second fell upon Maya. The memories of empty nights, the isolation raced before her. She clutched for understanding, for peace, but the air held a tension that felt like a live wire. "I never meant to abandon you. I thought we could build something together. I'm back now." Elon shifted beside her, the tension in his jaw taut. "Maya, we need to move," he urged, eyes darting toward the chaos erupting around them. Before she could respond, a new voice cut through the noise. "That's enough!" A voice rang out like the crack of thunder, and every head turned. It was a woman, stepping forward from behind the masked group. Her commanding presence halted the room. "Diane," Aaron whispered, disbelieving. "You shouldn't be here." Diane pulled back her hood, revealing a face lined with both resolve and heartbreak. They don't understand, she said, her tone cool, eyes sharp. But they need to. Maya tried to grasp the connections, feeling the ground shift under her. What do you mean? Diane glanced at Maya, then back to Aaron, her gaze steely. You think this is just about you, about what you've lost? She stepped closer, and the crowd held its breath. This is about power, power that's slipping away. Suddenly, her hands moved rapidly to produce a small device, a remote control. And with a click, the restaurant erupted with blaring alarms. Red lights flashed, bathing everyone in an eerie glow. They're coming, she warned, panic flickering in her eyes. We don't have much time. In a twisted instant, realization hit Maya like a punch. Everyone was watching. The past and future intertwined, brushing dangerously close to a breaking point. The stakes soared higher, the hidden connections, the buried truths. The sirens outside grew louder, echoing her panic. "Diane, what are you doing?" Aaron shouted, confusion lacing his words. "They've been following us, waiting for the right moment. If we don't act now, we lose everything," she breathed, urgency echoing in her voice. Before anyone could process it, the glass doors burst open again. A swath of figures in tactical gear stormed in, each movement precise and calculated. "Get down!" One shouted, guns aimed and at the ready. Maya's stomach dropped. These were not just activists. They were part of something larger. Ominous shadows creeping in to take back control. The lines of sight blurred as the tension escalated beyond reason. She caught a glimpse of Elon, eyes wide, the fear mirrored in his expression. "Everybody, get in cover!" shouted a voice, and chaos erupted. Aaron moved instinctively, pulling Diane close to protect her, but a shot rang out, shattering the air with a deafening crack. "No!" Maya screamed, watching in horror as Aaron staggered back, a crimson stain blooming on his chest. Time froze, fragments of reality hacking away at her sanity. Everything she thought she understood unraveled, like thread slipping through her fingers. Darkness clawed at her mind, confusion spiraling into fear. Suddenly, it wasn't just about broken ties or forgotten dreams. It was about survival, tangled in betrayal. In that dizzying moment, she realized the depth of deception, both in front of her and within her own heart. Maya fell to her knees, a suffocating weight pressing down. As the alarms blared and chaos surrounded her, she felt a gnawing question forming, heavy and insatiable. What had she brought upon herself by trying to reconcile the shattered pieces of her life? Would the truth she sought prove more devastating than she could ever imagine? Maya's heart felt like it was shattering. Aaron lay on the floor, eyes wide, bleeding. The urgency of the moment spiraled into chaos, cries echoing around her. "No, no, no, no!" she chanted, her voice rising into a manic pitch. Every second felt heavy, painfully stretched in the throbbing silence that filled the air after that gunshot. A wave of denial washed over her. This wasn't happening. It couldn't be happening. Elon's face was pale, shock rippling through him. "Maya, we need to move," he urged again, gripping her arm tightly. Her feet felt like lead, bolted to the floor. She couldn't look away from Aaron, from that expression of pain, mingling with disbelief. The image burned into her mind like a brand. "Help him!" she screamed, reaching for Aaron, desperate to close that gap. She felt the tremble in her hands, the frantic pulse of fear. But Aaron's breathing was shallow, each gasp a haunting reminder that their past was surfacing with deadly intensity. It was too late. Diane stood frozen, her face a mask of horror. The reality settled in. This was no longer about old friendships. This was life and death, raw and exposed. As the sirens blared outside, urgency flooded back into the room. "Step back, Maya," Elon shouted. "We have to go!" She felt a crushing weight on her chest, fighting for air as the noise became a storm. Just then, a figure slipped out of the shadows. A man, tall and imposing, and the light of the flash from the emergency vehicles illuminated his features. He was grim and determined, eyes scanning for danger. With a snap, he stepped forward. "Enough!" he commanded, voice booming over the chaos. The masked figures froze, shifting like spooked animals. "Who are you?" Aaron spat, voice strained but defiant. "Are you with them?" The newcomer peeled off his mask, revealing a familiar face, one that sent electrifying shockwaves through the gathering. "It's me, Jack." Maya's stomach dropped. Jack, her long-lost mentor, the man who had believed in her when no one else did. But now, he was tangled in something much darker. "What are you doing here?" she breathed. "We don't have time to explain. They've been hunting you, Maya, and you don't even know it." Jack's voice dropped to a harsh whisper. "Your past isn't what you think. They're after your family name and what it can do." The words slashed through her like glass. "What do you mean?" Everything felt like quicksand, pulling her under with every revelation. The weight of secrets pressed heavily upon her. "Your father," Jack continued, urgency threading his tone. "He's alive, and he's the reason this all spiraled out of control." Maya's heart stopped. Memories flooded in. Childhood scars. The father she thought she'd lost. The man she believed had failed them all. "No, that can't be true," she whispered, barely able to articulate her disbelief. "He vanished!" "Because he chose to. He's been orchestrating everything from the shadows, shaping your path, controlling the narrative without you knowing." Jack's revelation twisted sharply in the room, wrapping everyone in silence. "Is this some kind of trick?" Aaron's voice dripped with skepticism. "You're lying. No, this is bigger than just us." Jack's eyes flashed. The tension slid up another notch. "He's working with powerful people, and they're already plotting your downfall. They need you to complete their plan." The implications hung like an electric current in the air. Maya's mind reeled. She glanced at Elon, whose expression had transformed from shock to determination. He seemed to understand now, as if the pieces of a puzzle had finally locked together. Could it be true? Could her past hold the key to the very future she sought? Before she could process this new reality, a loud bang echoed again, punching through the tension. A tactical team burst in, weapons drawn, ready to take control. Confusion and fear exploded anew. "Get down!" one officer shouted, the urgency palpable. Maya stood frozen, Jack's revelation crashing through her thoughts, flooding her with a mix of dread and boiling adrenaline. "Which side are you on?" Maya shouted over the chaos, desperation weaving into her voice. But before Jack could reply, the room exploded into a whirlwind of confusion. And just like that, everything she thought she knew shattered again. Relationships she once trusted now wavered. Nothing felt certain. The lines between allies and enemies blurred in a haze of panic. What was the truth? Who could she trust? Would any of them escape this alive? The room spun, and as the sirens wailed louder, uncertainty gripped her heart, while reality twisted into something unfathomable. Suddenly, her past wasn't just haunting her. It was a ticking time bomb, threatening to explode. Maya felt time freeze as chaos erupted around her. The gunshot, the alarms, the explosion of emotions spiraled into a whirlwind of fear and confusion. "Aaron!" she screamed, her body surging forward, desperate to reach him, to pull him back from the edge. But the chaos was relentless, a maelstrom of urgent voices and shouts. Elon pulled her back. "We can't stay here. We need to find a way out." He shouted over the commotion. But Maya's gaze stayed locked on her brother, fear churning in her chest. They didn't have time. Jack rushed to Aaron's side, kneeling down. "Stay with me, man! Help is on the way!" But as he spoke, the restaurant door burst open again. Officers flooded in, weapons drawn and urgency written on their faces. "Get on the ground!" they shouted, voices clipped, demanding compliance. Maya felt her heart seize. Where was the hope they'd fought for? Where was the change they dared to dream about? Everything was spiraling into darkness. "Aaron!" she cried again. But his eyes, once filled with fire and rage, now began to fade, the light dimming too quickly for her to bear. I'm sorry, sis," he gasped, pain etching his features. Maya felt helpless, the weight of their shared past crashing down like waves. Time snatched the moments they could have had, stealing their chance to reconnect. "Get back!" an officer yelled as tension thickened in the air. Musk, still beside her, stood firm, attempting to shield Maya. The urgency pulsed, raw and consuming. Questions rushed through her mind. Was this truly the end? Could they even fight back together? Jack turned sharply, eyes flaring with determination. "We'll find a way. We're not done yet." But all of it felt surreal, slipping through her fingers. The officers maneuvered around the scene, shouting commands while Aaron's breaths turned shallow. "Please don't give up," Maya whispered, tears brimming. With a sudden surge, the police seemed to divide. The sudden movement narrowed the chaos into focus. One officer turned, pointing at Aaron. "This man is an armed suspect. Step back." What madness was this? Every emotion bubbled. Anger, confusion, desperation. "No!" Maya cried, stumbling forward. "He's the victim, not the criminal. You have to understand." But their voices drowned in the cacophony. The chaos thickened, intertwining confusion, terror, and the thick scent of fear. Just then, a burst of energy surged through. Diane stepped forward with authority, hand raised. "He's not a suspect. We can explain." The tide of voices grew in strength, the chaos twisting. But amid it all, a sliver of clarity broke through. "Wait! Stop!" a new voice exclaimed, cutting through the noise. It was Trump, stepping into the fray, eyes sharp as ice. "We can't let this tear us apart." The weight of his words pulled the moment taut. As fear danced on the edges, eyes shifted, uncertainty flickered in the air. Could they come together in the face of chaos? Maya's heart felt heavy. Yet a spark ignited. "This is bigger than us!" she shouted, strength rising. "We can fight! We can change everything!" Her voice sliced through the confusion, resonating with hope. And then, silence. Everyone stopped. The rooms paused. Players frozen in time. Was there a chance? Oh, could they find common ground amid the shattered pieces? But the moment shattered with the screech of sirens. More officers surged in, and chaos reignited. "Get down!" someone yelled. They were pinned between a fight for change and the weight of a past that wouldn't let go. Maya, breathless, locked eyes with Elon. "We need to save him," she pleaded. The truth hung in the air, a choice that could shatter everything or bind them into a unified front. In that heartbeat, Maya chose. "We're not backing down!" She shouted as sheer determination surged around her. Would they forge a new way or remain prisoners of their past? The world around them blurred into chaos, but one thing rang clear in Maya's heart. Change was possible, even in the face of despair. As the room exploded into chaos once more, the question echoed in her mind. Would they fight together and rise from the ashes? Or would this moment seal their fates forever? And as the world shifted around them, one undeniable truth remained. The fight for change was only beginning. But before it could unfold, you need to take action. You have to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the thrilling exclusive stories coming your way. Smash that like button right now. Feed the algorithm. This is your moment to show your support. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories. We want to hear from you. Don't wait even a second longer to share this video with at least 5 friends. Oh well,